us about what StarCloud is working on.
We are building data centers in space, initially to provide GPU compute to other satellites, and then later to compete on energy cost even with terrestrial data centers.
StarCloud's goal is to build the world's first orbital data centers, massive GPU clusters powered by constant solar energy to run AI compute at scale. Operating in a sun-synchronous orbit, they'll draw uninterrupted sunlight for energy, radiate heat into deep space, and run with zero fresh water and much lower carbon emissions than data centers down here on Earth. By taking the cloud off Earth, StarCloud can scale almost indefinitely, free from land, grid, and cooling limitations, and ultimately compete with the cost of the largest terrestrial data centers. Tell us more about how far along you are.
We started about a year and a half ago. We've designed, built, and tested our first satellite, and that will be the first satellite that will have an H100 from NVIDIA on board. The purpose of this is really to prove that our thermal management and radiation shielding techniques allow us to operate the state-of-the-art in space. We're going to be running a whole bunch of demonstration workloads on that. We'll be the first to run Gemini from Google on there. We'll be the first to do fine-tuning of model and training a model in space.
Why data centers in space? It seems like people are still struggling to get the compute that we need here, building them on Earth. Like, why is space going to be the next frontier for that?
Yeah, so we see a world where almost all data centers, anything that doesn't require very low latency, is operating in space, purely because of the constraints we're facing on energy terrestrially. And so we're building with a vision to build extremely large, full 40 megawatt data centers. It's about 100 tons. It's what you can fit in one full Starship Halo bay.
And if this works, what does the world look like?
It takes a huge burden off the grid on Earth, both the grid and the water supply. The way that data centers on Earth keep cool is essentially they evaporate lots of fresh water. This is actually causing huge problems in certain parts of the US where they're just sucking the rivers and the lakes dry in order to keep these data centers cool. Our data centers in space require zero fresh water. Instead of being this evaporation process, our heat sink is infrared radiation into deep space. And so we're building these very large radiators that we run a fluid through, but doesn't go anywhere. And then that dissipates heat out into the vacuum of space.